welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by NetCertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. NetCertive talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
Hello, and welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Erin Martin, and this episode is brought to you by NetCertive. Today, our guest is Lindsey McFadden, the CMO of StretchZone. Lindsey, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Morning, Erin.
And just to kick it off, I'd love for you to share for our listeners a little bit more about your background and then your current role at StretchZone.
Sure. I've been leading the marketing team here at StretchZone for a few years. I actually started working with the brand as a consultant when there was no marketing department. I was with a consulting firm called Wild Coffee Marketing, and we were brought on essentially as like the agency of record for StretchZone. And as the brand saw such meteoric growth, the engagement, and fast forward a few years, I came from the outside to the inside. And so I've been on the inside for now a few years here leading the team, and I've got a great team supporting me, and it's been a fun ride. Prior to that, my career has always been focused on the wellness kind of lifestyle or multi-unit space. I started my career in the home healthcare space with a brand that was regional, 35 locations, Southeast based. Then did a stint in an ad agency for about 5 years, which learned so much. To every marketer, if you don't have agency experience at some point in your career, I think you're really missing out.
Yes.
Then went from agency to consulting and then to StretchZone. So that's a little bit about my journey. On the personal side, I got a husband and 2 small kids that keep me very busy.
Very busy. I know that game. And I love how you said outside to the inside. I haven't heard it called that before, vendor brand side, but I like that. And I think there is a wealth of experience that can be gained. So I know we'll touch on that, but first I want to dig in. You guys experienced what looks like wild growth. So I'm curious what that process looked like. How'd you scale marketing for the type of growth that you guys had for those new units?
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. I think in the past 3 years, we've opened 250 locations, and that's not sold, that's opened. And so when you're opening more than one small business a week, that track is wild, right? And so I think we've been leveraging the tools and the partners we have in place to really try to streamline our marketing. That's the only way we can ensure brand consistency. And our studios, one of the great things and why we were able to grow so quickly is that from franchise agreement signing, it's just a couple months that we can have stores open, right? As soon as you get a lease, we're basically a 1,000 square foot box in a strip center. So there's no super complicated build out and typically very limited permitting process. Because we open so quickly, we don't really have that long lead time to market or pre-market or pre-sale like in a lot of businesses, right? Where you have 6 months, a year, 18 months of build out or development. We don't have that. And so I think for us, it's been really narrowing down what are the core things that matter and then really optimizing them. So it's super systematic at this point because it has to be. And I tell my team for everything we do, the goal is 80% the same. Of course, there's different market nuances and each studio is a little bit different, but if we've got our core 80% rock solid, then it's easy for us to customize that extra 20% so it fits in market.
I love that rule of thumb because the littlest thing exponentially compounded over time can make the wildest hairballs, whether it's the operational side, like not connecting with the customer, like whatever it is. So what do those 80% pieces look like for you guys right now in terms of doing the foundations right?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is from the setup perspective, right? We have got a pretty nailed down cadence for pre-opening, kind of coming soon messaging to first month open to first 6 months open, and really having those kind of life cycle segments ID'd, whether that is email nurture cadence, social posting cadence, that's very formulaic for us. Then the 20% is sometimes we'll have an owner that has a really awesome opportunity in their local market or a really cool connection that we can leverage. Then it's easy to pop that in and pop that out. But I think from the way that we schedule our meeting cadence with franchisees, from pre-opening on to how we work together as a team interdepartmentally is just absolutely paramount, because somebody on our store opening team might hear a little nugget about the opening process that we can really either leverage or, oh, that's going to be a problem for us. How do we compensate for it? construction delays always happen, right? So when we have our grand opening cadence down to a real science and then an opening will get pushed a week, then we're scrambling to push out messaging that says, good things come to those who wait, and we'll be right with you. And so it's just trying to make sure that we have even those kind of contingency plans outlined and really formulaic from the get-go.
Yeah, nice. And one thing that I've been hearing a ton from marketers, which I'm curious if you've also heard or seen in your own experience, was like post-COVID, the wild just dumping investment into paid media, seeing some great leads in return via that channel. And now it's okay, leads are softening, ad costs are rising, like everyone's trying to get a little smarter with data or getting back to the foundations and grassroots marketing to do things correctly. What have you seen, and then how does that inform your approach that you guys are doing now?
Yeah, it's a bit of a carousel. Like I feel like I'm going around in circles.
Seen this game before.
Yeah, like everybody I feel experienced the same thing in this COVID times. It was throw money on Meta and that's going to run my business. So no, that's not what built our brand, and that's not what's going to continue to sustain our brand. When I first came into StretchZone, as on the consulting side, there was, I don't even know if you could call it a website. Yes, it was a website, but not really. And the hottest marketing thing was Groupon. And our business was built by community connections, by working with neighbors and like-minded businesses. And what's really interesting about StretchZone is that we are additive and we are complementary to whatever you have going on in your life, right? Whether you're into boutique fitness or CrossFit, or you're just looking to feel better and you're maybe a recreational golfer or tennis player or something. So it's really easy for us to work and coexist in the community because we're not typically in any way, shape, or form replacing our competition with other brands in the market, right? Even PT or Chiro, we all work together. We're not one or the other. So the real focus, and part of what I've been trying to educate our franchisees, is that yes, digital marketing is a piece, right? It's a piece of the pie. It's not going away. We have to be there. We don't have our head in the sand. But this is not, hey, let's throw X amount on Meta and sit back and relax. It's no, here's the tools and the checklists and the systems and the processes that you can leverage in your local studio to network and do co-marketing. And how are you partnering with businesses that don't cost you money? You both are looking to enhance your membership offerings, right? So how do you leverage that at another studio perhaps and work together? So we have seen I think the pendulum swung all the way digital. And now I think, at least for our business, we're seeing that normalize back to the middle where it should be. That paid digital is an important part of our marketing strategy, but not the only part. And really teaching and evolving our local store marketing playbook to meet franchisees where they are.
Yeah, because it's always, especially I think with what you guys are trying to do as a brand, or any brand where there's a little bit of that education piece and you're trying to build a new lifestyle habit of like why stretching is so important for you. Spoiler alert, it is, and I am like your prime customer who needs it. I did sign up for my free 30-minute session.
Love that.
But it's a different tactic when instead of just like that quick search, yes, you want to be there and validate online, but you also need to build that, being the mayor of your market, educating why it's so great to have this type of new habit in your life. That's a different marketing kind of message, approach, strategy. So I'm curious, I think you mentioned last time that you guys did some research to help inform some of the stuff you're doing. Can you talk more a little bit about that piece too?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the education, that's the biggest cornerstone, I'd say, of our marketing focus this year, is back to basics coupled with education. And what does that mean, right? Instead of confronting the consumer with a whole bunch of like data and stats, we still need to educate them on what stretching is and why they need it. And so I think, yes, we have a patented strapping system and a proprietary methodology and all these, but if you don't know what it is, that means nothing to you. It's a bunch of words that most people maybe don't even really understand. So for us, it's what do we do? We help you, if you're a golfer, swing better, sleep better, move better, whatever it is, whatever you're looking for, this is how stretching can help. And we had this giant consumer study done in the fall and polling existing members, canceled members, prospects that never joined, the general public, and all these, and I'm talking tens of thousands of people, right? And one of the most significant takeaways was the original reason people were looking for assisted stretching and the reason that they continued to come overwhelmingly was improved mobility. And that really ties to the lifestyle piece. If you're recovering from an injury, maybe you have 6 weeks or 12 weeks, or you've got something, but it's fairly finite. But improved mobility, especially as we age, yes, I'm talking us too, is ever more a challenge and something that we need to modify. And everybody will tell you that you should stretch. Your PT, your chiro, your doctor, your trainer, everybody knows the benefits of it. But what happens is life's busy, right? And nobody prioritizes it. So what we've tried to do is meet the consumer where they are based on this knowledge, knowing that people want to come on nights and weekends, right? Because we're a service business in a lot of ways, right? This is when they're done working or working out or whatever it is. So part of this data survey that we got was really informing and validating a lot of the moves we were making on this is not an acute or recovery thing exclusively. This is really a life piece of mobility. And then coupling that with making sure that we meet the members where they are and being open and available to serve them at times that are convenient for them.
And I love that you also got data from people who canceled. Like every learning what didn't work is just as valuable as looking at your customer base and running that survey just for them. So I love that piece of it. Like, how did you guys run this survey then? Did you partner? Did you just run it internally? Like, how did you guys actually deploy it?
We partnered with a firm. Our parent company, Princeton Equity, has worked with this firm that they did we do it every year and a half-ish, that they had done some prior research projects with. And so they were awesome. And we worked with them to segment our lists, right, system-wide, and give them these segments. There's 60,000 people that meet this criteria, or however many it was for the different segments. So that we did a really thorough and exhaustive poll, because hearing from 10 people or a dozen people, that's great and all. But when you have thousands of respondents, then it's really like statistically significant, right? And it's guiding it. And I'll tell you, the canceled members portion was the most fascinating, because sitting here in any corporation, I think sometimes you get comfortable. You think,
yeah, we're too close to it too. Yeah. Like, we are blinded by being too close.
Yeah, and I think that one of the biggest takeaways that we learned, just as one example, is hours, availability of hours. A lot of our studios were closing on Sundays, for example, or had modified hours on Saturdays. But a lot of people, the only time that they're able to come in, because they got school and life and kids and whatever it is, was the weekends. And so all of a sudden, if we're not open on weekends to serve our membership, nothing bad happened, there's nothing wrong, but they're saying, why should I pay for a membership if I can't actually use my sessions? Makes sense. So that's been a big push for us. Is also it helps in validating to the franchisees, hey guys, these people used to pay you money. They now don't. And here's why. And really educating them and having the data to support it, of not just saying, hey, we want you to open on this day because why? No, they're telling you why. And so let's meet them where they are.
And those type of data points, it reminds me of making that transition of marketing as just being seen in an organization as a lead driver to truly impacting the customer experience and business. That's the type of thing that is like core to a functional and healthy business. Not just, oh, we need to drive more leads, we need to do X, Y, Z. It's like, no, that is, I think often marketing gets put in that box of know your role, this is what you do. And it's no, like we are business owners here, CEO hats that need to be thinking that way for improving revenue. Like we impact revenue, not just drive leads.
And it's funny you mentioned the leads. I say all the time, like if I had $1 for every time somebody mentions the word leads, I wouldn't need this job. But like literally this week I had a call with a franchisee talking about leads and wanting and needing more leads. And then I pulled up the schedule and I said, if I gave you 100 leads for free on a silver platter right now, you'd have nowhere to put them. We're just setting money on fire in the corner here. What are we doing? So let's take a step back and let's diagnose and really see at the unit level before you can even accommodate more leads. So how can we fix that first? And a lot of it is the chicken or the egg, right? So we have to balance that and understand it. But having the data to be able to, not just myself, but my whole team and our ops team and our franchise business coach team to have those data points to be able to really to guide those conversations, not on feelings, but on facts, is priceless.
Yes. Yeah. That a ton. If you're going to have a hard conversation or try to better coach, like you have to have that data in your back pocket. And I think that's one area where I've seen some of the strongest marketers who truly understand dealing with data at scale, like you were doing with the survey, or whether it's just harnessing audience segments or whatever it may be, coming from outside the franchise industry and a lot of CPG background or other agency side background. Like there's a ton of experience that you get harnessing that data So I'm also curious, like just from your outside to inside perspective, like what have you learned from the agency side of things that you've applied and taken with you?
Yeah, I think in the outside, you're always limited, or one of the things I found is that sometimes we'd be limited by scope, right? The agency or the firm would be hired to do an engagement, a project, or whatever it is. But that's really short-sighted and narrow-focused in a lot of ways, because once you dive in, okay, I'm here to solve this problem or to improve this, whatever it is, but this is connected to this, that, and the other. And by not looking at things holistically, we can do this, we could knock this out of this park and it could be 100%. But if that's only a quarter of the equation, like we're just at 25 here. So I think that one of the biggest shifts was now being on the inside is I have access and the ability to be part of the conversation and to really impact these other pieces that marketing is tied to. Because like marketing is not just like leads and a fancy new ad set and creative campaign, right? It's how are we marketing internally? Start about that. Our corporate team and our franchisees. That is marketing too, right? How are we getting their buy-in? How are we having them excited about the things that we're doing? Then how are we marketing to our existing members? It's not just about new people in. The members you have are the best members, right? How are we leveraging them to refer other people? And so I think from my seat now, it's less about just filling the funnel, and it's more about optimizing all the different marketing angles from our existing base, whether that's corporate, franchisee, or members. Does that make sense?
Yes, I love that. And yeah, that is the golden, as marketers, I think we sometimes can lose sight of that, at the end of the day, our growth goals, if we could have the perfect growth engine, it would be on word of mouth, credibility, and referrals. That is the golden piece of it. Just have such an awesome product or service that it speaks for itself and fills our funnel. So we can't over index on the like paid acquisition. Yes, again, we need to check boxes and do everything well there, but focusing on those referral programs, like having a great product and service, a great experience within the four walls, if you have four walls, like all of those are so critical. And so I would love to hear, since you guys have a membership base, like what do you guys do for referral marketing, that customer experience? What do you guys do there?
We try to do all the things.
All the things.
I think we do some of them exceptionally well, and others certainly room for improvement. But for example, this summer we're doing like a referral contest where we're trying to gamify it, right? So we're system wide over a few days, a real push for at the studio level to get referrals. And I said, you guys won't think twice about paying X number of dollars for leads on Meta or whatever have you. How are you incentivizing your staff? Let's create leaderboards. Let's do a contest. Let's do prizes. What prizes are you going to give at the local level and the studio? Most of our owners are multi-unit owners, so I think our average is 3 locations just about, but we have up 20 some odd down to 3. So it's like, how are you working together with your studios to create a competition, and how are you incentivizing members? And so we've put these guardrails for this contest in place, and on the corporate side, above and beyond, we're giving like prizes and contests. People like to win, right? So we're doing a lot of that. We have toolkits and playbooks. Here's the assets. And I think one of the fun things we're doing this time is stickers, like literally old school 3-inch round stickers that we're providing for all the studios. We have 2 versions. One that says help me win, and as just a conversation starter, because all of our staff and practitioners, they should be asking for referrals and having the conversation, but I don't know that it's happening system-wide all the time. But if in our membership model, people are coming in once, twice, 3 times a week. So if you're a practitioner or the team, you see a big sticker that says help me win, you're going to be like, hey, what's that about? I want to help you. You're my person. And then the other one is, do you have friends? Like, what a conversation starter. Do you have friends? What do you mean? Of course I have friends. And so what we're trying to do is really have those conversation starters and force the conversation at the studio level to at least be happening. And then, of course, leaving it up to them to turn them in. So that's just one example for referrals. Something we're doing this summer is a fun kind of contest. We have a rewards program where people can, I refer you, you get a free stretch, I get a free stretch. We have that kind of stuff in place. But I think largely it's really word of mouth. And I know that sounds so not scientific, but that's our product, right? We change people's lives. We help them feel better. If you've been suffering from something, you have sciatica pain, or you run a lot and your knees bother, whatever it is, when you come and you get stretched, you just feel better. And then you tell your circle because it's impacted you so much. So that's really what the best referral program is, just that organic word of mouth. We just try to apply it in short windows and have something fun to talk about.
Yeah, I love that. And the psychology behind the referral program you were talking about, that's different from just, hey, did you have a great experience? Like, we'll give you 15% off on whatever. It's like usually people aren't, that's not going to move the needle. So it's like when it's getting at like a life-changing event, which is that's where things go viral when people are so passionate about posting about their life-changing experience and just want to share it naturally with others. It's like that piece. And I love the, do you have a friend or will you help me win? Because that again is, it's getting at the root of our human nature. Yes, we want to help someone. Yes, we want to, it's not just the 15% off that we want. It's like these deeper core emotional drivers that you guys are getting at, which I love.
Yeah, we're in the people business. I say it all the time. We're not QSR. We don't have waste and spoilage and overhead and all this stuff. We're in the people business. So we need to leverage our people and use our people for what they're best at, right? These are people that are hands-on practitioners working with our members every day. And I think that a lot of times they're so focused on what they're doing that it just doesn't come up in conversation. So how do we just spark that conversation in a really authentic, not pushy way? Because then it resonates and then it's meaningful and then it's impactful and hopefully will drive that behavior that we're looking for.
Yeah, and that authenticity, the tongue tie, I think is key too, because I hear this all the time with other services where you have like specialized technicians. So it could be a masseuse or doing facials or whatever it is. Then you have someone who's really good at that and not necessarily, they're like, I don't want to sell. That's not my role. I'm not here to do that. And it's okay. Like you have to flip that on your head. You are not a salesperson. You are literally helping someone's life out right now. And you're seeing if there's other people you can help. Like you have to just like reframe that education of how to go about it in that authentic way.
Yeah, and I think, and we recognize that, right? And like, for example, whenever we do an initiative, we hold a full week of training, East Coast times, West Coast times. So there's 10 opportunities for the whole system to join, right? Because it's not just a franchisee or a regional manager. We want everybody, literally put it up in your studio. We want everybody to hear it because we want to empower them. Like in any business, there's a game of telephone. What I tell to you, and then it gets on a call and then it's disseminated down. And we want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to hear this, and also open forum. Ask questions. We guide best practices. We'll tell you how it should be structured, but then we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable because like you said, not everybody has the same comfort level in those conversations. Like some view it just as sales and that's not my job. Others just don't even think about it to do it, even though they can and they should and they feel good about it. It's just not part of their daily activities. So I think we try to do a really good job of over communicating and giving sometimes some would say an unreasonable amount of training opportunities for our system, but we want to make sure everybody can get on board, right? Because if it's fragmented or piecemeal or whatever, it's just, we're wasting our time here. We need system buy-in and studio level four-wall buy-in.
Yeah. And yeah, I think the educational piece of that, really what it's doing is giving these like bite-sized scripts to use when you're in that situation. If you don't have the tools or the words to actually do something that you're normally a little uncomfortable with, you're never going to say that extra thing or see if like they have a friend or go that extra mile. So it's like you're giving them those tool sets to do it. Nick, this is like a kind of random story related to it, but it reminds me of one of these, I think he was another podcaster who was so nervous about public speaking, and he had a public speaking coach, and what the coach told him that got him completely over it was like, you can't be thinking about yourself. You have to be thinking about the audience and the value that you're providing them. And it just reminds me so much of a franchisee and a customer, because it's like, it's not about you and like you sounding salesy, and you have to think about the customer and the value providing and that you're changing their life and you can help others. And so it's like that mental change that, I don't know, that story's always stuck with me and reminded me of franchisees.
And I think because of what we do, again, I know people must love a sandwich or a smoothie or whatever, but there's such an emotional tie and literal physical tie to what we're doing for people that it's really natural. We're helping and improving mobility, and that is such an easy message to share. And I'll tell you, we're super fortunate in that our membership base largely are raving fans as it is, right? They will happily go to bat and spread the word. I think it's just us really just making sure it's top of mind and initiating that and coaching that conversation, because we're not just trying to hawk something or sell it. And that's why we've always had, and still to this day do, is that your first stretch is free, because we believe in our service so much and our product and our protocol that we want you to come in and try it. That's how much we believe in it. There's no put your credit card down, gimmicky, and no, if you don't join, you pay. No, first stretch is free. Come in, and try it out. And part of that is because that gives us the opportunity to educate the consumer. Because if I tried to sell you a membership for stretching, how do you assign value to that? You don't really know what you're going to get from it. You don't know how long it is, how much. It's a challenge, right? And so part of the reason why we always have and will continue for the foreseeable future, as long as I'm around, is to have the first stretch free, because that gives us the opportunity to educate the consumer, but also to remove the barriers to entry, right? You might not know how much this can help you. And before you put your credit card down or start paying for something, come check it out. And I think because of that, that really helps back to the referral piece, is that it's no obligation. If I'm saying, hey, Erin, go get stretch, I'm not asking for your money. I'm not asking you to pay anything. Just carve out a half hour, 45 minutes, head to your local studio and experience it for yourself, right? No obligation. And so that makes the referral piece so much simpler and easier. And it's really just a layup that I think a huge opportunity for our system to really leverage in a meaningful way.
That is such a good call out, because I have lived that myself, where that credit card entry is the barrier to entry. Like, I love that. That's one of those things where it's literally one small thing that probably makes a wild impact.
And we tested
when looking at the funnel.
Over the years, people have said, oh, we should charge a nominal amount or something just to secure it or whatever have you. And I said, the conversation we have is, if your tables are so full that you cannot have a single extra person come into your studio because your leads are flowing and your membership base is so full and you're at a capacity issue, then maybe we can talk about that. But that has yet to happen. And when we do hit capacity, franchisees are so excited, they open another location, right? To me, that's a real barrier to entry that's not necessary, and that would do far more harm than good for our business. And also, like, we're not trying to monetize or capitalize on somebody trying something out. That's not our business model.
Yeah, love it. I'm curious then, have you guys dabbled in influencer marketing in any way? I could see that being wildly awesome for you guys, but I don't know if you've gotten there.
Yeah, we've not systematically. We've done a few ad hoc things here or there, and truthfully, they've come organically. We have Drew Brees is our kind of brand ambassador, not like an influencer, but because of his kind of endorsement and participation in the brand, that led to some others. Like, we have some professional golfers, for example, that are just paying members that have come to us literally and said, StretchZone, I'm playing better now than I have in years on PGA Tour, whatever have you.
Yeah, that's some wild cred.
So we work together, and I'm like, great, let's talk about that. We have MMA fighters that have won title cards. We have people that stretching is part of their recovery and they understand how significant it is. And so we've just been really opportunistic with those types of things that kind of come to us. We currently are not really in any sort of really concerted effort in terms of like outbound influencer marketing, but the ones that come to us organically as believers in the product, we definitely take advantage of those relationships to the extent that
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't need influencer marketing when you're getting an influencer naturally through being a customer.
I think I say all the time, and one of these things that I talk about in our franchisee training is, when you say influencer, people sometimes always think giant followings, big paid amounts, and to me, it's really not that. If you are in a plaza, like typically our co-tenancy is similar businesses, right? So if in your plaza you have a boutique fitness, people are fanatical about their instructors. They're going at 5 a.m., at 6 a.m., and whatever it is for their person. They will buy any product they sell under the sun, all the things. Like some of my friends, the way that they are like worshiping this Pilates instructor, for the life of me, I can't understand it, but great. So part of the things I tell my owners is, how does that person be almost like a micro or nano influencer for you, right? How do you give them a free membership to come in once a week and check it out? And then they can almost act as a sales team for you to their members, saying, hey, I go to StretchZone as part of my recovery from this workout. You should try it out too. So I think oftentimes, at least on a franchisee level, they think influencers this like big, daunting, I need contracts and I don't know how to handle this kind of arrangement. It doesn't have to be. And so I think we're trying to take advantage of the ones that come to us and then empower our local owners to really look in their markets, literally look door to door of who can be really a brand ambassador for you.
That's so good. I love that. And I know we're coming up on time here, so just wanted to see, is there anything that you wished I would have touched on that I haven't so far?
The one thing that everybody wants to talk about is AI, and so I'm glad we didn't go there. What's your feelings on AI? We stretch people for a living, so in the four walls, not much is the honest answer. But no, I think that if there's one thing that I hope people can get from this, it's that setting brand standards and guidelines that are really strict but flexible, if that makes sense, is paramount, especially for a quickly growing brand. I say all the time, really wide but really firm guardrails. I don't want to hold up every single piece of creative in approval process, because then nothing's going to be out and the brand will be just absolutely handicapped. But really empowering your teams and your org to understand what the goal of marketing is. It's not just an ad campaign, and how they can support. And then, yeah, have fun with it.
Yes, I love that. And I think especially when we're talking about scaling, it's usually a smaller pit bull, small but scrappy marketing team trying to do many things. And so the more that you can set those expectations of the, like, what'd you say, wide but firm standards is huge, because then you can stay focused on what matters as well. Like, we are there for the network, and you are literally being irresponsible if you're spending 50% on your time on approving ad creative. Got to get out of the stuff that doesn't matter. So I love that, not just because we're coaching the franchisees for that, but as marketers, like, our time is so precious, especially as leaders. And you have to think about how every minute of your time needs to be responsibly spent.
Yeah, and I think, and part of it is if I'm doing my job and I'm giving our network the tools and the systems to be able to execute that at scale at the local level, then I don't want to be in that. I can't be in that. And I say all the time when we have franchisee training, they're like, wait, I can do this and I can use all these things and I don't have to send it to you for approval. I was like, don't get it twisted. I can pull anything down. I have the control. But in over 3 years, I think I've done it 3 times. It's total ask for forgiveness, not permission mentality here, because if we're doing a good job and supplying you with good things to bring in your market, then it's a non-issue because you're using our approved stuff anyway. But yeah, really firm but really wide guardrails. That's
I love that. Awesome. Lindsey, thank you so much for joining today. I'm excited to get my free stretch on, and thanks to everyone who listened in on another episode of The Art of Franchise Marketing.
Thanks for having me. Let me know how that stretch goes.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by NetCertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netcertive.com.